Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory, and I'll be your voice tonight as we ease into rest. If these videos help you unwind, take a moment to like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. Now, get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like, because it's time for tonight's story. They always say the forest is quiet at night, but Whisper Pines wasn't. It never was. Not even before things started going wrong. Not even when there were still 6 of us. We started the trip like a joke 6 friends from college, all approaching 30, bored with desk jobs and city noise. Cam found the flyer. Printed, not digital. Taped to the window of a hardware store. Reclaim your wild. 7 days off. Grid survival experience. No phones. No lights. No bullshit. The guy running it called himself Ranger Eli. No last name, no company. Just a gruff voice and a checklist of things we needed to bring. Sleeping bags, boots, water filters, no GPS. No firearms, no digital distractions. Everything had to be old school. Compass and paper map. You learn to live like you were meant to, he said. The woods don't like noise. We thought it sounded badass, dangerous, fun. It was none of those things. Day 1 started normal enough. We met Eli at a dusty trailhead 4 hours north of the last gas station. He looked like he hadn't smiled in a decade thin, sunburned, buzz cut. There were no signs, no map boards, no other cars. You see anyone else in there? He told us. You turn around. Why? Cam asked, grinning. Eli just said, because they ain't supposed to be here. Then he handed each of us a laminated map, old and faded, with one bold red line drawn through it like a lifeline. No shortcuts, no detours. You leave the trail, it won't let you back. We laughed it off. He didn't. That first day was beautiful, if I'm being honest. The pines were massive tall as cathedrals, too dense for sunlight to hit the floor. The trail wound through switchbacks and clearings. We drank stream water, built a decent campfire, cooked rice and beans like we were in some hip wilderness documentary. At night, we lay in our tents, listening to the distant rustling of deer. That's what we thought it was anyway. Looking back, it didn't sound like hooves, more like fingertips, dragging, soft, almost shy. On day 2, the trail started to change. Small things at first. Tree marks didn't match the map. Elevation lines made no sense. Cam said maybe it was a test that Eli wanted to see how we handled being off course. By midday, we hadn't seen a single blaze marker in hours. We argued. Then we heard whistling. Light, short, 5 notes. We thought it was Eli. We followed it. It led us to a clearing where all the trees leaned inward like they were eavesdropping. Dead quiet. No birds, no breeze. Just the 6 of us and a small pile of bones. Clean, white, arranged into a spiral. That night, Eli didn't show up at camp. We figured he was staying somewhere else testing us again, but none of us could sleep. There were noises in the woods. Not animals, not wind, breathing, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, like someone walking a circle around our tents, matching our pace of fear. Day 3 is when it started falling apart. We woke up to find the fire had been put out. Not burned out, put out. Smothered, with damp earth packed over it like a grave. One of our food bags was missing. Jules swore she heard her name whispered around 3 a.m. from just outside the tent. No way, I told her. We were all asleep. But she looked me in the eyes and said, "It wasn't any of you. It sounded like me." We voted to head back. Even Cam was done pretending this was fun. But when we checked the map, the trail had changed. I mean, actually changed. The red line was no longer a path. It was a loop, drawn in a perfect circle. We hadn't gone in any direction. We'd been walking in place. And when I tried to use the compass, the needle spun, then stopped, pointing behind me, directly at the woods, where something tall was watching. We spent most of day 3 trying to figure out how a trail could disappear. Cam climbed one of the larger rocks to get a read on the valley. No roads, no river, just more trees in every direction. Endless green stitched together so tightly it felt like we were standing in a throat. Jules said the trees were different, that they were closer than before. I didn't believe her until I looked up and realized the canopy had lowered. Branches that were 20 feet above our heads yesterday were now close enough to touch. We decided to move. Even if the trail was gone, we figured we could bushwhack northeast and hit one of the ranger service roads. That was the plan. We packed fast, grabbed our compasses, mine was still broken, and set out in the direction the sun told us was right. 30 minutes in, we hit the same clearing we'd left that morning. Same ring of trees, same pile of bones in the spiral. Only now, they were arranged into words. Stay on the path. No one said anything. Cam tried to kick the bones, but his foot stopped an inch from them, like something invisible held him back. He laughed it off, made some joke about performance art. No one laughed, not even him. We made camp again before sunset. Didn't bother trying to find a new site. Everything looked the same. The trees didn't just shift while we walked, they shifted while we blinked. No fire that night. We didn't want to draw attention. Whatever was out there already knew we were here. We ate jerky, sipped water, stared at each other like we might be the last real things left in this place. Then, just past midnight, we heard the whistling again. Same 5-note melody. Light, careful, like it didn't want to wake the wrong part of the woods. Cam sat up, said he thought it was Eli. I said nothing, because I heard something else after the whistle. A voice calling my name, not yelling, whispering from the trees. I stayed in the tent, didn't move, didn't breathe. Outside, someone walked past. I could hear their boots slow and deliberate. They stopped just feet from me and said in a voice that wasn't quite mine, "Hey, I think I found the trail again. Come see." I waited until sunrise to crawl out. Cam and Jules were already up. Lex and Jordan were missing. We searched the woods for hours, calling their names. The only reply came from the opposite direction. Their voices calling back. Over here. We see the trail. We followed the sound. Found nothing. Just a pair of our own backpacks. Lined up side by side. Zippers open. Inside each. A compass. Melted. Bent into circles. Jules snapped. Screamed into the tree. Cried. Cam tried to calm her down, but she shoved him. Told him this was his idea. Said she was leaving. Didn't care what direction. Didn't care who followed. She marched straight into the trees, not even looking back. Cam went after her. I stayed. Now it's just me. I'm at camp, watching the woods, listening to the whistles that don't stop anymore. They circle me, closer every time. I check my watch. It's blinking. 0, 0, 0. And outside the tent, something keeps calling my name. Not yelling, not whispering, just repeating, over and over, like it's trying to learn how it sounds when I say it. I didn't sleep. Every time I started to drift off, I heard it. Footsteps, too soft for boots, too slow for animals. They walked right up to the tent, paused, then moved on. Around 4:00 a.m., I started whispering to myself just to hear a voice I trusted. By 5:00, I ran out of words. At sunrise, I forced myself to move, packed what was left, water filter, crushed protein bars, my knife, everything else, the tents, the sleeping bags, even the map felt heavy, like the forest wanted me to stay, to root. I headed east, or what I thought was east. Used the sun, the moss, the slope of the hill, all the tricks Eli told us. But every clearing looked the same. Every tree leaned just slightly toward me, like they were listening or judging. By noon, I found the creek again, that same bend in the water, the fallen birch, the half-dead fern with a snapped spine. It was the same place we passed 3 times the day before. I dropped to my knees, drank until my stomach hurt. Then I saw the boot. It was caught under a rock in the stream, worn, waterlogged, laces tied wrong. I pulled it out, thinking maybe, just maybe, it belonged to Lex or Jordan. But the sock inside was dry, and worse, still warm. I followed the water upstream, hoping it'd lead me out, or at least somewhere the forest hadn't folded in on itself. That's when I saw Jules, standing knee-deep in the creek, back turned, same clothes, same braid down her back. I called her name. No answer. She didn't move. I stepped closer. Her arms were stiff at her sides, fingers twitching like they were pulling invisible strings. I said her name again. She turned, smiled, and said, "You left us." But her voice cracked halfway through the sentence and started again. Same words. "You left us." Over and over, until it wasn't Jules's voice anymore, just something trying to match it. I ran, didn't look back. Branches cut my face. Roots tried to trip me. The forest didn't want me to go. I stopped when the light started to go gray. When I heard Cam's voice, he was calling my name, crying. begging me to help him. I turned. He stumbled out from behind a tree, covered in scratches. Shirt torn, but grinning too wide, teeth too straight, too white, like they were new. I raised my knife, told him to stay back. He laughed. Dude, it's me. Come on, don't be like that. I got lost, but I found the trail. It's just behind you. I didn't look. I ran again. Didn't stop this time. Not until I found a rock outcrop big enough to climb and hide under. I pulled my pack tight around me. Didn't make a sound. The woods below were silent. Then I heard it again. You left us. You left us. You left us. But it wasn't a voice anymore. It was the trees, rustling those exact words, over and over, like wind through dying lungs. I'm writing this now with shaking hands. The sun is gone. The woods are black, and under the rock, I can hear breathing. Shallow, constant, not mine. I haven't seen the camcorder yet, but I know it's coming. It always comes. And when it does, it doesn't film what's in front of it. It films what's about to happen. I stayed under the rock ledge until morning. Didn't sleep. Barely breathed. The forest never got quiet, but it didn't make noise either. Just this constant pressure, like being watched by something without eyes. When the light finally broke, I crawled out and climbed higher up the ridge. From there, I could see mist curling between the trees. Thick, yellow-gray, heavy like it had weight. I should have turned back, but there was a trail, a clear path cut through the brush, not marked on any map, but perfect, too perfect. No fallen limbs, no loose stone, like it had just been made. I walked it anyway. It curved softly, like it was wrapping around something buried deep. Each step felt like a decision I couldn't take back. Birds chirped once and fell silent. The wind held its breath. And then I saw the cabin. Old, rotting, half-eaten by vines, but real, standing in a clearing that didn't exist on our map. I should have left. I didn't. The door opened when I touched it. The floor creaked like it was warning me. Inside was a single chair, a fireplace, and a table. On the table was a box, a camcorder. Ours, the one Ty brought. The one that had vanished 2 days ago. Still on, still recording. I picked it up and checked the playback. The footage showed me standing in that exact cabin, except I was covered in dirt, hands bloody, eyes gone. I blinked, and the screen changed. Now it showed Cam, then Jules, then Ty, all standing exactly where I stood, one by one, each of them looking into the lens, each of them whispering the same thing. This is where it brings you to become. I dropped the camcorder. It didn't hit the ground. It hovered mid-air, then floated gently back to the table like it never left. That's when I heard her, Jules, laughing outside the cabin. But it wasn't right. Too fast, too smooth, like someone hit play on her laugh and never let go. I ran out the back, down the hill. The path had changed. It was made of footprints now, dozens, maybe hundreds, all heading one direction, all the same size. Mine. I followed them, because at that point, what else was I supposed to do? The prints led to a ravine, dark, narrow. Trees curled around it like ribs, and just before I stepped down in, a voice from behind me whispered, "You're walking the way out backward." I turned. No one there, but the camcorder was at my feet again, still on, still filming, and the screen said, "Recording, final tape." I stepped into the ravine with the camcorder in hand. I didn't remember picking it up, but it was recording. It always is now. The ground was slick with moss and something else. Not mud, not blood, something thicker, blacker. It smelled sweet, like rotting fruit. The trees leaned inward above the ravine, blocking out most of the light. The deeper I walked, the more the air pressed on my skin, like humidity with weight, like I was walking through someone's breath. My own footsteps started echoing back wrong, delayed by a half second, like something was walking behind me, perfectly out of sync. The camcorder screen flashed. Follow the roots? I looked down. There were roots everywhere, now snaking across the path, pulsing softly, some thin as veins, some thick as ropes. They vibrated if I got too close. At one point, I stepped on one. It screamed. Not loud, not human, but high and sharp like a wire strung too tight. I kept walking. I didn't have a choice. After maybe 20 minutes, I reached the end of the ravine. It opened into a hollow, and in the center of that hollow was the tree. Massive, ancient, wrought black bark peeling in long, wet strips. Its trunk wasn't rounded, twisted up like a fist made of meat. The roots stretched out in every direction, like tentacles, threading through the entire forest, and at its base, piles of things. Boots, backpacks, a phone still buzzing, flesh, not body parts, some fresh, some almost fossilized. I recognized Cam's shoe, Jules's bandana, Ty's jacket, folded neatly beside a set of broken glasses. I took a step closer. The camcorder shook in my hands. The screen blinked again. Sacrifice is memory. I heard movement behind the tree. Not footsteps. Something dragging itself, slowly. Then, my voice, calling from the other side. "Hey, you made it. I'm so glad." It sounded just like me, but it didn't feel like me. I backed away. The tree shivered. The roots began to rise, curling toward me like fingers. Then I saw it, a version of me, pale, filthy, face half missing, standing where I had just been, waving calmly. It said, "This is the part where you give it your name," then smiled wide, "or it takes your face instead." I ran, back through the ravine. The forest didn't chase me. The forest shifted. It bent the path ahead of me into a spiral. The same shape we found made of bones back on day 2. I followed the curve. I didn't care. Anything was better than what stood under that tree. When I broke out into the clearing again, it was dark. Night had fallen, but I didn't lose time. The sun didn't set. It just vanished, like someone flipped a switch. I sat down and looked at the camcorder screen. It was still recording. The time code read, final tape, 59 minutes and 43 seconds. 17 seconds left. And beneath the timer, in faint red text, someone has to stay. I sat in the clearing for a long time, watching the time code blink. 59 minutes and 43 seconds. 16 seconds. 15. It didn't make sense. How could the camcorder know how long the tape was when the tape hadn't finished? I tried shutting it off. Didn't work. Tried crushing it with a rock. It just blinked and kept recording, like it didn't need film or batteries or permission. The forest watched me, not in the way a hunter watches prey, in the way a parent watches a child hold a knife for the first time. That's when I heard the coughing. Close, real, human. I followed the sound toward the ridge. Through the brush, I saw someone hunched beside a stump, shaking, clothes shredded, face streaked with dirt and blood. At first, I didn't recognize him. Then I saw the compass tattoo on his wrist. Eli, the survival guide. He was alive. Barely. I called his name. He flinched. Didn't look at me until I got close enough to touch his shoulder. When he did, his eyes widened like I was a ghost. "No," he whispered. "No, you're not supposed to be here. It picked you." I told him we needed to get out, that we could still make it if we moved before night took hold completely. He laughed short and hollow. "You don't move through Whisper Pines. It moves through you." He grabbed the camcorder from my hands before I could stop him. Checked the screen. Winced. 17 seconds, he muttered. "That's all that's left." I asked what happened when the tape ended. He said, "The forest grows backwards. It remembers everything it's fed, everyone it's taken. And when the tape runs out, it finds room for one more." I asked if that's what happened to the others. He nodded. Each one of them gave up something. A voice, a memory, a body. But not all of them stayed. He looked at me, wild-eyed. "Have you seen yourself yet?" "What?" "The double. It shows you. Before it takes you." I nodded slowly. Told him I'd seen a version of me beneath the tree. He pressed the camcorder back into my hands. "Then, you've got two choices left. Finish the tape and become what it needs, or stop it before it does." I asked him how. He held up a knife. The blade was black, old, carved with runes or glyphs I couldn't understand. "I used this to cut myself out," he said. "Split the root bond, but it cost me." He rolled up his sleeve, showed me his forearm. Where his shadow should have been was missing. Clean, blank. No outline, no depth. Like a piece of him had been swallowed permanently. He pressed the knife into my hand. "You don't have long. The forest's already choosing." "How do I know if I'm still me?" I asked. He didn't answer. Just turned and walked back into the trees. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't say good luck. I watched the timer. 59 minutes and 53 seconds. 7 seconds. 6. 5. I looked at the knife, looked at the woods, and then I heard it. Not a voice. My voice, laughing. Soft at first, then louder, coming from behind me. I turned. There I was, smiling, eyes black, face stretched too wide, whispering, "You left me behind the first time. You don't get to walk out twice." The camcorder beeped. 59 minutes and 59 seconds. 1 second left, and the screen blinked. Choose. The screen flashed 59 and 59 and froze. Not paused, not broken, held, like the forest itself stopped breathing. I stood there, staring at the other me. Not a doppelganger, not a look-alike. Me, down to the scar on my wrist from 8th grade, the freckle under my left eye, even the way my fingers twitched when I was nervous. But his smile was too calm, too patient, like he'd waited years to finally speak. He stepped closer. The woods didn't move. The trees didn't breathe. The world was stuck between seconds. The camcorder still floated between us. He didn't reach for it. He didn't need to. He just said, "It's not about the tape. It's about what you fill it with." I asked what that meant. He tilted his head, my head, and replied, "You've been feeding it since you got here. Every fear, every choice, every lie you told to yourself to keep moving. Now there's only room for one more seat, and one of us gets to walk out." He didn't threaten me, didn't chase me. He offered. "You can leave," he said. "Take the knife, cut the bond, bury the tape, forget all of it. You'll wake up in your bed. You'll think it was just a trip gone wrong, a nightmare you survived." He walked in a slow circle around me, dragging his fingers along the trees. They bled where he touched them. But someone has to stay. Someone has to finish the recording. I gripped the black-bladed knife tighter. It pulsed in my hand like a heart. The forest shuddered. Branches twitched. The ground below me hummed, low and deep. He smiled again, my smile. "You're tired," he said. "I know. I remember. Give me the last second. Let me be the ending. You won't have to carry it anymore." I looked down. The camcorder's screen was glitching now. Flashes of all of USM May. Cam, Jules, Ty, Lex, Jordan laughing, running, screaming, crying. Over and over. Then me, alone. Then black. Then me again. This time whispering, "It's better if you don't remember." I stepped back. He stepped forward. Still calm. Still patient. Then he said the only thing that truly scared me. "This isn't the first loop. It's just the first one you remembered." I don't know how long I stood there. Time didn't pass. I don't think time exists in Whisper Pines anymore. Not for me, but eventually I spoke. I asked what would happen if I gave him the final second. He said, "You lived, and I watch." That's when I realized the trade wasn't memory. It was witness. He wanted me to leave so he could finish watching what the forest becomes. One more soul to feed the roots. One more name to echo through the trees. And one more second for the tape to close itself. I asked him one last question. Why me? He smiled without lips and said, "Because you looked, you listened. You stayed quiet when the woods breathed, and you didn't run when it wore your face. You were always going to be the last." The camcorder chirped, one sharp beep, and the screen blinked. 59 and 59, final take. He sighed. I stood at the edge of the clearing, knife in one hand, camcorder in the other. My other self calm, still smiling, waited. The forest held its breath with us. Not a branch moved, not a sound escaped. Even the insects had gone quiet. The camcorder screen still read 59 and 59. Final take. That last second stretched like pulled skin, like the forest was savoring the tension. "You don't have to fight," the other me said. "You can go back. Take your old life. Wake up in your bed. No teeth in the trees, no voices in your own, but it wasn't a lie. That's what scared me. I could feel the offer was real. A way out. A perfect memory wipe, with one cost. Someone else stays behind." I looked at the knife, black blade pulsing like a vein. I looked at the camcorder, still warm in my palm, humming gently. I looked at him, and I asked, "What happens if I stay?" He didn't hesitate. "Then you finish the story, and the next ones find it. The tape always survives." A wind blew, sudden and sharp. It carried a scent I didn't recognize. Not rot, not blood. My apartment. Like air freshener and old coffee and worn books. "Home, that's where you'll be," he said, "if you just hand me the tape." But I remembered the others. Jules, Cam, Ty, Lex, Jordan, pieces of them still whispered through the woods. Their laughs, their screams, their shapes. If I walked away, what would be left of them? Who would warn the next one? I looked at the camcorder screen. It flickered one static, fast. Then it showed a new image. Me, sitting at home, on my couch, watching a screen. Eyes empty. Smile too wide. Then it glitched, split into two. Me, and the thing that wore me, watching from the inside. That was the moment I knew I couldn't walk away, because if I did, something else would walk out, with my name, my face, and no soul. I gripped the camcorder tight, raised the knife, and stabbed it straight through the side of the device. It screamed. Not the machine, the forest. A shriek ripped through the trees like splitting bark. The world shook, branches thrashed. The ground boiled. The camcorder hissed and sparked, oozing black static like blood. The screen blinked once more. 60 and 0. Final frame burned. The sky cracked open like a film reel melting, and everything flipped. The forest blurred, then folded. The trees stretched skyward and vanished. The roots pulled back into the soil like veins recoiling. My double howled mouth wide, face unraveling into smoke and ash. And just before he disappeared, he whispered, "You'll forget eventually." Then he was gone. I woke up on the edge of the trailhead, alone, mud on my boots. The sun just rising. No gear, no map. Only the black-bladed knife, resting on my lap. The camcorder? Gone. No cell signal. No signs. Just a dirt path behind me and the faint echo of my own name carried by the wind. And in my head, I could still see the screen. Final frame burned, but I couldn't remember what it showed. Only that I had chosen not to let it end the way it wanted, and that something, somewhere in Whisper Pines, is still trying to re-record it. It's been 6 days, or maybe it's been 6 hours. Time doesn't work the same now. Since I left Whisper Pines, every reflection is a little off. Windows, mirrors, even puddles. They lag. My movements echo too late, like the world is buffering me. Or like something is using the delay to catch up. I'm home now, I think. Same apartment, same chipped coffee mug, same worn-out couch. But when I turn the lights off at night, I hear the trees. Not outside. Inside. In the walls. In the hum of the fridge. In the static of the TV when it slips channels for just a second too long. The forest may be behind me, but it's not gone. I didn't leave empty. Last night, I heard the camcorder whirring. I don't own a camcorder anymore. Doesn't matter. It was on the floor near the closet. Red light blinking. Not plugged in. No tape inside. Still recording. The screen read, tape incomplete, 59 and 59. Again, I smashed it. With the knife, the blade still pulses sometimes. Cold when I sleep, hot when I lie. I buried the camcorder in the alley dumpster. Burned my hands doing it. The next morning, it was back, on my kitchen counter, still recording, still whispering. Someone else walked out too. I didn't understand until I saw her. Rhea, from the original group. She was standing across the street. No expression. Soaked like she'd climbed out of a river. Her left hand was bandaged. Her right held a camcorder. She didn't knock. She didn't wave. Just stood there, filming me. 4 hours. When I blinked, she was gone. But the camera on my table showed new footage. Her, watching, whispering, holding the knife. She made it out too. But the forest isn't done with us. Not until the tape finishes. Not until someone plays the last second. It's trying again. Rewriting. Looping back. I've seen strangers on the street wearing Cam's face. He's in the background of a commercial now. In the crowd at the bus stop. Eyes too wide. Not blinking. Rhea left a message on my wall this morning. Not a note. Carved. You didn't burn it. You buried it. Things buried in the forest grow. She's right. I feel it. The tape never ended. It just spooled underground. And now the trees are stretching out again. Behind my thoughts. Under my dreams. Tonight, I watched the camcorder again. I couldn't stop myself. It showed the forest, but newer. Buildings hidden under roots. People walking loops around invisible trees. Everyone wearing someone else's face. The camcorder panned and stopped on me. Sitting in my apartment, typing this right now. The screen blinked. Final message. The last second wasn't yours to keep. The camcorder won't stop blinking. Tape incomplete. 59 and 59. Every night it shows up somewhere new. Under my bed, in my fridge, inside the shower, humming static. I don't sleep anymore. I don't dream. I remember. Every second of Whisper Pines is branded behind my eyes, and now it's bleeding into everything else. Today, I heard Cam on the radio, not a recording live. His voice, telling a story about a forest, about a group of hikers who vanished. He laughed in all the wrong places. The host never said his name, but I knew, because he ended with, "You only have to make it to the last second, then it lets you go." I smashed every mirror in my apartment, but I still catch glimpses. Myself but smiling when I'm not, blinking when I'm still. At 3:33 a.m., I heard Jules humming in the hallway. Soft, tuneless, circular. I opened the door. Nothing there, but the knife was on the doormat, covered in black sap. I can feel the roots now, not outside, inside me, threaded through my memory, curling around my spine, blooming through my thoughts. They don't want to erase me. They want me to host, to carry the story, to become the next reel. This morning, the camcorder showed me a way back, not to the forest, into the tape. A path made of static and voices and flickering light. The message was clear. Play the last second from the inside. Only then does the loop end. I didn't pack a bag. I held the knife, stared into the screen, and whispered the final word I never dared say aloud in the woods. Remember, the camcorder swallowed me whole. I woke up beneath the tree, the old one, its bark dripping memory, the hollow at its base glowing faint red. The air was thick with ash and old names. I stepped closer. Inside the hollow, the reel spun. A film strip made of faces. Mine, Ria's, Cam's, Jules's, Ty's, others I didn't recognize. All looping, all watching, waiting for someone to press play. I pulled the reel. It screamed, not in sound, in weight, like holding griefs that had fermented. The moment I touched it, everything came back. Every second, every step, the bones, the spiral, the clearing, the double, the offer, the thing wearing my name. I brought the real to the flame, the real one, the first one, the fire that feeds the forest. It wasn't made of wood. It was made of stories, of scenes that never stopped being told, and I threw the reel in. The forest howled. The sky tore, and something began to unfilm. The branches pulled back. The roots retreated. The spiral uncoiled. Voices unwound from the trees like steam from a kettle, and the final second played. But it wasn't me in the frame. It was the forest, shrinking, screaming, ending. I woke up on the highway. No shoes, no camcorder, just the knife, and one final frame stuck to my chest. Black celluloid, 1 second long, no image, just etched words. The end cannot be watched. I burned it, buried the ashes. Haven't seen the tape since, but every so often I hear it, a short whir, A five-note whistle, a laugh that starts with someone else's voice and ends in mine.